And so for that worker who's made their plan, and as you say, you need to be adaptable with, okay, that third thing's not getting done, or the new priority because the boss says there's a new priority. And if they're committed to doing, say, 30 days of this new planning like this, so that they can get into the habit, but they're finding week on week that they've only done one thing, and they're kind of going down that slippery slope of losing faith in this as something that will work for them because they find they have to be too reactive. What would be the next thing would you suggest? Like carving out protected time daily, maybe in their schedule, to work on just the things on that list before other things? Or do you have other techniques or advice to support someone implementing this if they're struggling with this first step?
Yeah, lots of things, Kevin. That first thing you've mentioned there, carving out time. So I suppose we call it time blocking, don't we? Where you look at your schedule, and I say to people, look at the opportunity to get some of that planned time, that a time block where you can put in an hour and say, I'm going to work on X, I'm going to work on that priority. And then maybe, you have to look at your week and see the opportunity for that. There's no point in blocking that hour in the middle of a busy Wednesday morning because you're probably not going to be able to stick to it. So it's about looking at your week strategically, identifying the opportunity to do that time, that planned time. It could be, a lot of people might do a couple of power hours, maybe Tuesday, Thursday, they might start at 8 before things get too crazy, or maybe earlier, depending on what your environment is like, and block in some time. And they're the times that they get on with their proactive, their priority work before the email and the instant messenger and all the requests start flying in. For some people, it's later in the day. They love to get in and do their transactional reactive work first. And then things maybe kind of quieten down later in the day. And that's when they like to block time in, say between 4 and 5 in the afternoon. For some people, they might be more tired at that stage, but other people find they get on a roll later in the day when they have all the other distractions cleared out of the way. Other things you can do is look at Fridays often an opportunity, because email volumes sometimes lighter on a Friday. A lot of people may be working shorter weeks now. So again, look at Friday, block in some time Friday morning or Friday afternoon and say, I'm going to work on that project then, or that priority piece of work. So everybody will have a different opportunity within their week, but it's starting to get to know your week, getting to know the rhythms of it, when it's peak, when it's quieter, and being smart then about the time that you try and block in for your own work. So that's one thing, the time blocking. The other thing, I suppose, is it's probably a bigger discussion, but it's around the responsiveness. So we're working in busy, responsive environments, but we need to maybe start pushing back on that a little bit and saying, does everything need to be responded to straight away? There will be genuinely urgent things, but then there will be other things that maybe could wait half an hour, a few hours. If you get back to someone by lunchtime or the end of the day, is that okay? So that if you switch to kind of working in that mode, it means that you're not responding to everything straight away. I suppose it's starting to look at your work and identifying the high priority, the important work, the really urgent things you have to respond to. And for me, they would be things where you're in the middle of a workflow and somebody emails you, they need a response. If you don't get back to them, then you're going to slow down everybody else's work. So they're the really urgent things. That's just one example. But then there'll be other things that, I've started asking people, when do you need it? I actually did it earlier today, Kevin, would you believe it? Somebody texted me looking for information. I was thinking that's going to take me an hour or two to dig that out. And I thought, I'll just ask them. I said, when do you need it? And they said Friday. And today's only Monday. And I was actually thinking I'll have to either do that later or tomorrow morning. And because they put no time frame on it, I immediately assumed it was straight away that they wanted it. And it's interesting, because they didn't have that expectation. So now I'm like, fantastic. So I can plan it in for Thursday or whatever to have it ready for Friday. But I think because our work environment, it has become so urgent and instant, because email is so instant, we've kind of developed that way of working where we assume everybody wants everything straight away. And sometimes they don't. So just simply asking that question can actually be a real eye-opener.
I just wanted to add that when you were mentioning the time blocking as an anecdotal evidence of what you were saying, the confidence that comes with moving the needle on that that, Eisenhower matrix, the most important but not really urgent thing, and getting your big plans done just by having like an hour a day or something. The confidence that comes with that is fantastic, and it really gets the ball rolling in a good way. And I was struggling to finish my master's thesis, and thinking I'd do it after the main workday, and it was a few hundred words a day or just nothing because I'm tired. And once I blocked out each morning 90 minutes, I did 1,000 words a day average, and I finished it in 2 weeks.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a really good example.
Yeah, so it definitely has a lot of power. So what Moira said, I was fully supporting there.
It also it has a lot of power. It also releases a lot of stress, because if you feel you're making a start on a longer term piece of work or a longer term project or something that isn't due for a few weeks' time, it means you've stopped worrying about it because you've started it. And it could be that you're just chipping away the way you described there. So getting a couple of things done each week on it. But it also means if someone comes and asks you, how are we fixed for that project, or how are things going, you're kind of on top of it. It also gives you opportunity to realize maybe you need input from someone else. So you have time to do that. You've time to give them to respond as well. So you're not doing everything at the last minute. And of course, the other thing about it is that the chances of you doing a much higher quality job is much greater because you're not doing it under pressure. So it's a win-win. It takes getting into the habit of doing it, though. And it can be a shift if you're currently working in a very responsive, reactive way. So it can take time to get used to it. That's the challenge.
Sure, yes. Give it the time, but trust that the results will be there.